नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Fourth Canto, Chapter 12, Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Text 23. Sunanda Nanda Uvacha. I'm sorry. Sunanda Nanda Uchatu. Sunanda Nanda Uchatu. Bho Rajan Shubhadram Te Vacham No Avahitaha Shrinu Ja Pancha Varshas Tapasa Bhavan Devam Atriptat Atripat Sunanda Nanda Vubachatu Bho Rajan Subhadram Te Bacham No Bahita Shrinu Ja Pancha Varshas Tapasa Bhavan Devam Atripat Bhavan Devam Atitripat Bho Rajan Subhadrang Te Bachang No Bahita Shrinu Ja Pancha Varshas Tapasa Bhavan Devam Atitripat Bho Rajan Subhadrang Te Bachang No Bahita Shrinu Ja Pancha Varshas Tapasa Bhavan Devam Atitripat
Panchavarshas tapasa Bhavan Devamati Shunandananda Puchatu Bho Rajan Shubhadramte Vacham No Vahita Shunu Ya Panchavarshas Tapasha Bhavan Deva Atitripa
Sunandananda Vauchatuhu Bho Rajan Subhadram Te Vacham No Vahitah Shrinu Yah Panchavarshas Tapasa Bhavan Devamati Tripat
Mataji's Sunanda Nando Uchatuhu. Sunanda and Nanda said, Bho Bho Rajan, O dear king, Subhadram, good fortune, Te, unto you, Bacham, words, Na, our, Avahitaha, attentively, Shrinu, here, Ya, who, Panchavarsha, 5-year-old, Tapasa, by austerity, Bhavan, you, Devam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Atit Tripat, greatly satisfied. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nanda and Sunanda, the two confidential associates of Lord Vishnu, said, Dear King, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you were only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities, and you thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat after me. Nanda and Sunanda, the two confidential associates of Lord Vishnu, said, Dear King, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you are only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities, and you thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. What was possible for Dhruva Maharaj is possible for anyone. Any 5-year-old child can be trained, and within a very short time, his life will become successful by realization of Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, this training is lacking all over the world. It is necessary for the leaders of Krishna consciousness movement to start educational institutions in different parts of the world to train children, starting at the age of 5. Thus, such children will not become hippies or spoiled children of society. Rather, they will become devotees of the Lord. The face of the Lord, the face of the world will then change automatically. Sunanna Nanda Vuchatu Bho Rajan Subhadrang Te Bachang Nova Hitashrinu Ja Panchavarshas Tapasha Bhavan Devam Atitripat. Nanda and Sunanda, the two confidential associates of Lord Vishnu, said, Dear King, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you are only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities, and you thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, here we are seeing that how those two associates of Narayan came from the spiritual world to take Dhruva Maharaj. And here they are telling Dhruva Maharaj that how the Lord remembers how he pleased him when he was just a 5-year-old boy. That Cha Panchavarshas Tapasa. At the age of 5, Panchavarshas Tapasha, by severe austerities. Bhavan Devam Atitripat. Bhavan means you satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tripat, Ati Tripat. that you pleased, you satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that how even at a 5-year-old age, when a child is just about 5 years, he can achieve perfect spiritual knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, the knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not a material thing. It is spiritual. Material knowledge is acquired. As we were discussing the other day, through ascending process, by acquiring knowledge. Children, when they're 5, they learn ABCD. And they learn BAT bat, CAT cat, and so forth. Then this is how they acquire knowledge. BAT bat, CAT cat, then he learned CAT CH catch. So this is how his knowledge improves. That is the ascending process of knowledge. But descending process is the knowledge about the spiritual world. Or rather, descending process is actually the knowledge that comes down from an authoritative source. One who knows the knowledge, one who has the knowledge, he gives the knowledge. Can a child by himself learn ABCD? No. A child cannot learn ABCD by himself. Somebody has to tell him. So in this way we can see that knowledge is always descending. But at some point one can acquire the knowledge with his intelligence. But actual knowledge comes from an authoritative source. Say for example, if somebody doesn't know Hindi alphabet, many people don't know Hindi alphabet. If you show him A, B, C, D, O, A, E, will he understand? He'll think that it's just some scribbles. So, the actual knowledge descends, comes from a higher source. And if that knowledge is of the spiritual nature, then the spirit soul becomes enlightened. Divya Gyan, Hriday Prakashita. The spiritual knowledge is revealed in the heart. Revealed, comes as a revelation. Didn't it happen to many of you? When you read Prabhupada's books or devotees went and told you that Krishna is God, it made sense. Yeah, that's true, Krishna is God. Prior to that, you are thinking, Sab Nirakar hai. How many of us were Nirakaris before? Most of us were actually impersonalists. We used to think that God doesn't have a form. Because of wrong understanding, because of wrong information. God's energy doesn't have form, but God has form. Of course, in the ultimate sense, we'll know that God's energy also has form. God's Ladini Shakti, Radharani. Ladini Shakti has a form. Lord's Yogamaya has a form. Lord's external potency, Mahamaya, has a form. Lord's energy also has form. So what to speak of impersonalism? Ultimately, it's all personal. In the spiritual sky, everything is a person. In the spiritual sky, everything is a person. Like Lord's disc, Sudarshan, is a person. Lord's conch shell is a person. In the ultimate sense, everything is a person in the spiritual sky. Even Lord's pillow is a person. Lord's shoes are persons. Lord's flute is a person, Vamsi, an object of envy of many people, especially the gopis. So, anyway, the more we advance in spiritual understanding, the more personalistic we become. So, the spiritual knowledge comes down in this way, in the heart. The heart responds. Heart becomes enlightened. The more we make advancement, the heart becomes more and more enlightened, more and more aware of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, the spiritual world becomes revealed in the heart of a devotee. So whether he is what to speak of 5 years old? Parikshit Maharaj, how old was he? He was not even born. And Parikshit Maharaj had the knowledge of the Lord. He saw the Lord face to face. What to speak of Parikshit Maharaj? The animals in the forest of Jharikhanda, not too far from here, the animals became enlightened. They were dancing in ecstasy with the chanting of the holy name. Is it that the animal was dancing? The body of the animal, but the soul became liberated. Soul became enlightened. The soul became Krishna conscious. He saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they was completely transformed. The soul became transformed. So ultimately, this spiritual awakening takes place in the soul, of the soul. Soul spiritual awakening. Therefore, age or time, the condition of the body doesn't matter. One can be young, one can be old. It doesn't matter. Whenever one becomes enlightened, like Ajamil, in his deathbed, Ajamil was dying. At the time of death, he saw the Vishnudutas. He saw both Vishnudutas and Jamadutas. First he saw Jamadutas. Then he saw Vishnudutas. And the awakening took place. Oh, second chance. He saw, he heard the Vishnudutas and Jamadutas conversing. And he heard how the Vishnudutas told the Jamadutas that they don't have any right over him, Ajamil, because he chanted the holy name of the Lord. Just calling out, not even calling to the Lord, calling out to the Lord, calling out to his son. He just called out to his son, Narayan. And Vishnudutas immediately came. So this is how the spiritual awakening takes place in the spiritual platform, in the spiritual plane. That has nothing to do with the material body. Of course, material body has some consideration, like human body gives us an opportunity to intellectually understand Krishna. Human intelligence is advanced. An animal will not be able to. Therefore, it is so important to take advantage of the human form of life. Now that we got this human form of life, we must take full advantage of it. Labdha sudur labham idam. Now that we got this human form of life, we must take full advantage. The advantage is following the process of devotional service, Vaidhi Bhakti. Practice the process. chant the holy name of the Lord in the association of devotees, render devotional service. So then the rest will automatically happen. Rest will automatically happen. Because the process is so perfect that if one practices it properly, then the heart will become enlightened. Another thing that we are seeing in this episode of Dhruva Maharaj, we are seeing that Dhruva Maharaj is about to leave his body. When does one leave his body? At the time of death. Then when the body is completely inactive and incapable, then the body cannot do anything. But we are seeing that Dhruva Maharaj is talking to the Vishnu Dutas. Now we can understand that this is happening on the spiritual platform, not on the body level. With the material body, one doesn't go back to the spiritual world. When these Vishnu Dutas came to take Dhruva Maharaj, they came to take his spiritual self. Spiritual identity was conversing. So body may be active, the body may be in a kind of state of dying, the body may be in a kind of state of coma. Not quite coma, the devotee's body doesn't really get into that. But his spirit soul is fully awake. Just like we can consider that when somebody is sleeping but he is dreaming, in his dream does he communicate with others? But if looking at the body, can you make out who he is talking to? Now the dreams take place in the subtle plane. Dream takes place in the plane of subtle body. But this is happening in the spiritual plane. Its spiritual body of Dhruva Maharaj is communicating with Nanda and Sunanda, two spiritual personalities. Material body, both gross and subtle, cannot communicate in this way to a spiritual personality. We have to understand it is happening in the spiritual plane. It is happening to the spiritual body. Switch off kore na. It is happening in the spiritual body, to the spiritual body. And we also considered that like gross body, subtle body, spiritual body. Gross body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Subtle body is made of 3 subtle elements. What are the subtle elements? Mind, intelligence, and false ego. At the time of death, one leaves his gross body. The gross body goes. Is left behind. But in normal condition, the subtle body carries the spirit soul to the next body. Like the Jamadutas come. Do you believe the Jamadutas come in some cases? In some undesirable cases? Now do we see that Jamaduta is taking the gross body? So who do the Jamadutas take? Jamadutas take the subtle body. So Jamadutas actually were taking Ajamil's subtle body. They were taking his subtle body. And normally that's what happens. The subtle body is taken to Jamraj's abode. And he is judged. You did this, you did this, you did this. So these are your punishments. Get fried in a pot of boiling oil. Get fried. Or get burnt. They put him in fire. And it happens. The subtle body goes through the experiences. It happens to the subtle body. It gets fried. It gets burnt. The body is cut to pieces. Ashipatra. Rodab. A place where the soul, the body is burnt. These all happen in the subtle plane. But it's real. Just as our gross bodily plane is real, the subtle bodily plane also is real. And then, after going through those treatment in the hellish planet, the subtle body is now ready to enter into a specific womb, the womb of a mother. It can be any kind of womb. Somebody who acted like an animal will get an animal body. Nature will place him in that specific. There is, say for example, what do the pigs like to eat? Do you know? Stool. And there is a treatment that one is put in the stool. Now, if one is put into a pot of stool, a vat of stool, how will you feel? Won't it be terrible? But then gradually he will begin to like the taste of the stool. And this is how he will be treated. And now he will be placed in the womb of a pig. And he'll get a body that will be very fond of stool. So this is how the subtle body goes through the treatments to become appropriate for the next body. But the thing is, this all will happen in the subtle plane. Subtle body doesn't die. The gross body dies. Dies means the soul leaves the body and goes away. But the soul cannot get rid of the subtle body. The subtle body will carry the soul, so the subtle body will remain with the soul even after death. Even after death it will be there. And this is how the subtle body actually carries the soul from one body to another body according to his karma, according to his activities. That is the theory behind transmigration of the soul. You can't get rid of the subtle body. And as long as you have a subtle body, you have to stay in the material nature. Now, the question is how to get rid of the subtle body. Gross body at the time of death, we got rid of. So we are free from the gross body. But the subtle body, how to become free? Subtle body is composed of mind, intelligence, and false ego. The subtle body will not die, but the subtle body can be transformed or spiritualized. The subtle body is there. That is what actually happens through devotional service. What is devotional service? Devotional service is a process of engaging the mind in thinking about Krishna all the time. Manmana bhavo. Manmana bhava. With your mind, you think of Krishna. But then again, how the mind will think of Krishna? When the body and the senses are engaged in serving Krishna. I can't say anything because my phone was ringing.
He's giving fish today.
Huh?
He is sponsoring fish today.
Okay, very good. So, माफ हो गया. So, this is again, somebody may think that, well, with my mind I'll think of Krishna. No, that won't happen because mind is again connected to the gross body. Therefore, it will begin with the gross body. Karmana. The body must be engaged in acting for Krishna. Then manasa. Then the mind will be engaged. So first the gross body, body must be used in serving Krishna. And then the mind will be able to think of Krishna. So now when manmana bhava, when the mind is, with the mind we are thinking of Krishna, then what will happen? Then the mind will become purified. By thinking, you see, again, let's go back to that point. What is material? And what is spiritual? Me in the center is material. Krishna in the center is spiritual. When the mind is thinking about me and my enjoyment, mind is material. When the mind is thinking about Krishna, mind is spiritualized. Similarly, intelligence. What's the business of intelligence? Intelligence business is to plan how to do things. Right? So when the intelligence is used in planning how to render devotional service to Krishna, then intelligence is spiritualized. Teshang shatata yuktanam bhajatang priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam buddhi yogam tam buddhi yogam. Intelligence is now spiritualized. And in this way, when one is engaged in serving Krishna, where is his false ego? Does he have a false ego? No. His false ego now has become spiritualized in his Swarup as a servant of Krishna. So in this way, through devotional service, mind, intelligence and false ego is now transformed or spiritualized. So when the mind, intelligence and false ego has been spiritualized, then is there any subtle body left? No. So this is the state of liberation, liberated state. Iha jasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilasyapi avasthasu jivan muktasa uchyate. Nikhilasyapi avasthasu, in all conditions, he is jivan mukta, he is liberated. And this state is also called Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi is, or Jivan Mukta stage is, the body is there, but within the body there is a pure spirit soul. Pure spirit soul means no subtle body, spiritual body. The spiritual body, the spirit soul, pure spirit soul is dwelling in this apparently material body. In this body. And in this way, one becomes prepared to become eligible to go back to Godhead. So Dhruva Maharaj, we can understand, was already liberated. He was a Jivan Mukta already. Now when the Vishnudutas came, Dhruva Maharaj just went back, and that is called Bostu Siddhi, going back to the spiritual sky, and achieves his original spiritual identity, back to Godhead. That's what is happening. Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. The description of Dhruva Maharaj is going back. So this is how, by rendering devotional service, we'll become purified to go back to the spiritual sky in our spiritual identity, in our constitutional position. Constitutional position is Jiver Sarup Hai, Krishna Nityadar. So all we have to do is just become a servant of Krishna. We just become a servant of Krishna and the rest will automatically happen. This is the process. If we follow the process, the result will be there. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande Hare. Does anybody have any question?
I have two questions. First is Dhruv Maharaj. Here, Sunanda and Nanda were saying that at the age of 5 you have pleased the Lord greatly. Of course, ever since then, all his life he has been a devotee, engaged in devotional service. But specific reference has been given to the service that he rendered at that time. So is that particular devotional service he did at that age superior to whatever he has done throughout his life?
Yeah, that was the beginning point, and that at the beginning point also was the point of his perfection. He performed austerities and the Lord was pleased and came and gave him darshan. So that means he already achieved his perfection at that stage, at the age of 5.
And which is more acute, the suffering of the subtle body or the suffering of the gross body? Which is more acute, the suffering of the subtle body or the gross body?
As you go through it, both are equal. Both are equal. It's happening to you. The question is how detached you are from your body. Right? Like for example, when the body is under anesthetics, does it feel the pain, whatever happens to the body? Why? Because the consciousness is withdrawn from the body. Right? Now through devotional service, if the consciousness is withdrawn from the body, then something may happen to the body, but one will not experience that. So that's what happens to like it's not that things don't happen to a devotee's body, but a devotee is detached, therefore he doesn't go through the experiences. Things may happen to a devotee. But if somebody is in his gross body, he will experience the pain. If somebody is in his subtle body, whatever happens in the subtle body, he'll go through that experience. Ravi Lochan Das. हरे कृष्ण गुरु महाराज, दंडवत प्रणाम। मेरा प्रश्न है कि जब जीव को यमराज के द्वारा दंड मिलता है, तब क्या उसे स्मरण रहता है कि मैंने जो पाप किया था उसी का दंड मिल रहा है? याद रहे या ना रहे, बल्कि दंड तो मिलेगा। अगर याद रहता है तो अच्छा है। इसलिए हर समय सोचना है, जब कुछ बुरा कुछ होता है, दंड मिलता है, तब ये याद रखना चाहिए कि और ये समझना चाहिए कि मैं पहले कुछ गलत किया था, पाप काम किया था, जिसके कारण हमें ये सजा मिल रहा है। समझा? तो चाहे यमराज में हो और माया की जगत में हो, जब बुरा कुछ तकलीफ होता है, जब सजा मिलता है, तो याद रखना कि किसी को इल्जाम ना देकर केवल याद रख कि ये मैं कुछ किया था, I must have done something wrong in the past that I am suffering. Yes, Radharani?
Two questions.
Huh?
Two questions.
Yeah.
We understand that this body is very, this human form of life is very brutal to take to, and it's a rare form of life. And Srila Prabhupada says that this Mahamantra is so sublime that even a dog can take to this process.
Even a?
A dog can take to this process. So is it because you just explained that by hearing the sound vibration, it actually enlightens the soul?
Yeah.
And that is how the dogs
Yeah,
consciousness
right.
take life?
Right. Yeah. Because you see, the soul becomes awake in a spiritual consciousness in some very special condition. Right. Also can be, anyway, the dogs also can be devotees, like Shivananda Sen's dog. And we come across some very special dogs in Vrindavan. Early days when I used to spend a lot of time in Vrindavan, especially I used to spend the Kartik in Vrindavan until I became very busy with my GBC responsibilities. And those days on Ekadasis, we used to go for a parikrama of Vrindavan. And sometimes when we'd go out on parikrama, one dog would follow us. Not only follow, go ahead of us. And if other dogs attacked him, then he would come and, come within our group. Otherwise, and he would make the parikrama and then go away. So is he a dog or a devotee? May have got a dog's body, but his consciousness. Second question?
The other question is that in other years past, when Yamaduta saw the Vishnudutas, they didn't even recognize them, they didn't know who they are. So is it that in that, Patala Lok, there is some who, when one gets a punishment,
Not a,
there's no knowledge of this spiritual world in reality?
they didn't have knowledge, but then they got the knowledge from Jamraj. Jamraj told them that. They went and reported, we came across some strange characters. This is what they did. Then Jamraj said, then when you see them, don't go near them. And when you see a devotee wearing kantimala and tilak, don't go near them.
The spiritual knowledge is only available in the higher planetary system and not available in the lower planetary system?
There is, because Shankarshan is there also at the lower planetary system. Bali Maharaj is there in Sutala Loka. So there are, even in lower planetary systems, there are self-realized souls.
Is the Bhagavatam available?
Uh,
Do they have like Bhagavatam Katha like we do?
Especially when personalities like arrive there, they can conduct a Bhagavad Katha. Yeah, they can. You see, there, Krishna consciousness is not so readily available. Earth planet is the place where Krishna consciousness is so readily available, especially in this age. Even if you came, 1,000 years back, this situation wouldn't have been there. What to speak of 1,000 years back? Even if you came 100 years back, this situation would have been there. Even if we came 20 years back, even if you came 10 years back, in Ujjain, this situation would be there. So ultimately what do we see? It's the devotees that create the atmosphere. That's where the devotees must take it upon themselves to spread Krishna consciousness. This question is from Vinod Kumar. Pamho Maharaj, is it our sadhana or our relation which is our first priority, relation with Lord? Well, both. Relation means awareness. First you become aware of Krishna, then you practice devotional service. And it is through devotional service, sadhana bhakti, that your relationship with the Lord develops. Hare Krishna, okay. Yeah.
I wanted to ask if, like, the mind, intelligence, and false ego get spiritualized. Do they get spiritualized in the same degree, like if we have devotional service or sadhana?
You see, the spiritualization means, going back into the spiritual identity. Actually, mind, intelligence, and false, they have their spiritual counterpart. Right? Mind is the faculty to think. In the spiritual body has the faculty to think. But that's not this material mind. That's the faculty to think. Intelligence has, the spiritual body has the ability to decide what to do, what not to do. And spiritual body has its identity, not a false, but real identity, that he is a servant of Krishna. So they are there, but you can say that according to devotional service, this transformation takes place. As one spiritualizes, accordingly the transformation takes place.
So the false ego goes according to our intelligence.
False ego will go according to our, you cannot really, you cannot really calculate it that way. It's not a matter of calculation. It's a matter of developing the relationship, intensity, and clarity, purity. Like when you become a servant of Krishna, you become a servant of Krishna. And then the reciprocation takes place. And then you begin to appreciate, oh, it sounds so nice to be engaged in serving Krishna. And then, your intensity for service increases. Bhaktin Carol, if we face death before we are advanced, what should be our priority? Think of Krishna in the association of devotees who will help. So at the time of death, it is important that we remain in the association of devotees because they will help us to remember Krishna. That's why devotees' prayer is that prana prayana samayi kafobato pitto kantavarodhana vidho smaranam kutaste. Prana prayana samayi, at the time of death, when the life air will leave my body, prana vayu will leave the body, prana prayana samayi. Kafobato pitto, my voice will be choked, kantavarodhana vidho. My voice will be choked by kafobato pitto. Kaph means mucus, bata means air, and pitto means bile. Will choke my voice. How shall I remember Krishna at that time? So that is the prayer of a devotee. That the body will be in such a difficult situation at the time of death. I'll be in such a critical situation. Please help me to remember you at that time. So that's why it is important that we remain in the association of devotees, because even though we may forget Krishna, but devotees will remind us of Krishna. Ramola from Cape Town. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Is it wrong to follow the process due to fear of consequences of wrongdoing? How does one practice the process in a positive way, that is, with love for Sri Krishna? Yeah, good question, Ramala. Yeah, initially it is out of fear. But then, as we get closer to Krishna, then this fear turns into duty, and then duty turns into love. First thing is fear, God fearing. Yes, fear of God. If I don't abide by Him, then He will punish us. We'll be subjected to suffering, punishment. Then we make more advancement, and then we become aware of the necessity to abide by the laws that have been given by Krishna. That is the sense of duty. With a sense of duty, we execute our spiritual activities or religious activities. But then, as we go even closer, as we develop our love for Krishna, then out of love, we render devotional service to Krishna. Is that clear, Ramala? Hare Krishna. Then Tribhanga Mohan Das. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pam Ho, thank you for your wonderful class. In Pune, we are having new temple inauguration in next month. What should be the meditation to welcome Sri Sri Radha Vrindavan Chandra? Please guide. Well, Radha Vrindavan Chandra is coming, so what should be the meditation? The meditation should be Radha Vrindavan Chandra and how you are going to greet him when he comes. So mercifully the Lord is appearing, so now you take full advantage of that. Okay, so yes, Shamal, welcome to Jain. Thank you.
Dhruv, my question is relating to the subtle body, gross body, and the soul. So you mentioned that with the gross and subtle body, we cannot come in contact with the spiritual entities. So I wanted to understand, like Ajamil at the time of his death. So through his subtle body, he was experiencing the Yamadutas, but he was also experiencing Vishnu Dutas. So that was through his soul or through his subtle body?
That was, we have to understand, that was taking place in a subtle plane, just like sometimes it appears that, we are experiencing something in a dream. So it is like in a dream also we can have some spiritual experiences, but we have to understand that it was happening in the subtle plane. That's why, you see, he went then to Haridwar, and there he executed devotional service when he got the second chance. Then he became purified.
So in the subtle plane, we can come in contact with spiritual entities.
Even in gross plane we can come in contact. Don't you see the deities in the temple? Huh? I mean, it's our gross senses that are actually seeing the Lord. But the question is, how spiritual is that seeing? So the main consideration is, how spiritual is the seeing? Like, can you imagine Duryodhana is seeing Krishna face to face? But what was the spiritual aspect of it? Nothing.
And also, like you several times mentioned in the lectures, the example of fire and iron. So for devotees, the gross body, it's also spiritualized. So is it possible for very qualified devotees to go back in the gross body? Like we hear some say, like the Saint Tukaram, he went back in his material body only. I don't know whether it's true or not. So
No, this, how matter will enter into the spiritual domain? Right? Can matter enter into spiritual domain?
no, it can't. But like I was thinking.
So we have to understand that, what they mean is, he became spiritualized. Right? He became spiritualized. That's why they, common people cannot They think that his gross body becomes spiritual life. Gross body remains in this material nature. Sometimes the gross body can also dissolve. Like for example, Narottam Das Thakur's body melted in the river, disappeared. Therefore he doesn't have a samadhi. So, there is a question from Bihari Krishna Das, Pune. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam Maharaj. Thank you for your wonderful classes, which are simple to understand at the same time most sublime. When we are chanting, our reading or hearing, does it mean we are engaging our body in Krishna's service too? Yes. When you are reading, you are engaging your senses in serving Krishna. So that is engaging the body. Because body means material body, gross body means the senses. Because the gross body functions through the senses. So when the senses are engaged in Krishna's service, that is the gross body's engagement in Krishna's service. So reading means your eyes are engaged and eventually your mind is engaged. So that is also devotional service on the bodily platform. Thank you, Bihari Krishna Prabhu. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Srila Prabhupada ki.